morning. Welcome back to the National View on Mental Illness. This week's news story will be on an article that discusses the topic of mental illness. The article is called An Examination of College Students' Perceptions of People Diagnosed with Mental Illness by the lovely Ayata and Sherman. Before we get into the article though, let's discuss what mental illness really is. Mental illnesses are health conditions that involve changes in emotion, thinking, and behavior. Mental illnesses can be associated with problems functioning in social, work, or even family activities. Mental illnesses range from depression, anxiety disorders, or schizophrenia. In conclusion, women were reported to be less negative towards mentally ill people that were described in the vignette types, as opposed to men who were not as positive. Due to this, the connection is made that male participants have larger differences about the female and male vignettes. Male participants held the belief that mental illness results from bad interpersonal experiences, such as lack of care, love, stability, whereas the female participants' beliefs were not as strong in this area. It was proven through this study that many people had negative perceptions and attitudes towards the mentally ill. In general, most individuals believe that people who are mentally ill are dangerous to society and should be avoided at all costs. They consider them violent, hostile, and aggressive, just like wild dogs. Due to this negative stigma, there is a strong discrimination against people suffering from mental illnesses. This is a main factor as to why these mentally ill individuals have feelings of hopelessness and rejection. The mentally ill do not get enough support emotionally or socially, which is why they lack in the quality of life. It is very important and essential for us as a nation to exile these negative perceptions and begin to inform ourselves on the importance of mental illness, rather than casting it out. The National View on Mental Illness has conducted several interviews on the topic of mental illness to see what individuals at Indian River State College really think.
Hi, I'm Chloe, and I'll be interviewing Laura at RSC about mental illness. What is your view on mental illness?
I do believe it is a problem that is not addressed very well. I think a lot of people hide their mental illness because they're afraid of what others may think. So I think that there should be more education, definitely, on mental illness so that people feel comfortable about talking about it to their doctors, to their friends, to their families, in order to get help.
Yeah, I agree. Do you believe social media displays mental disorders in a negative way?
I think yes and no. I think over the last maybe year or so, we've actually seen positive light with social media. More people are becoming aware of mental illness, and I know just personally on my Facebook page, I would see, outreaches, to for help. But then again, everybody wants to have this perfect identity on social media, and so that person that may be struggling with mental illness could be ashamed or feel like everybody else is perfect, why am I not like that, or something like that. So I think it goes both ways, but I think more recently you have seen a positive spin on it.
What is your view on mental illness?
My view? I don't really know much about it because where I'm from, they don't take it serious, so I don't really know much about it.
So you know what kind of mental disorders there are?
I heard of some of it on Instagram and stuff, but other than that, I'm not educated on it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you know anything about anxiety or depression or schizophrenia?
Yeah, but it's kind of seen as a joke because
Yeah.
people joke about it. They be like, "Oh, I have depression," so I know about some of it.
Do you believe that social media displays mental disorders in a negative way?
Kind of, because some people like they express their thoughts, so I feel like that it's starting to be taken more serious.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm Caribbean, so like it's not taken serious where I'm from, but I think now it's starting to be more taken more serious.
Whispers of, they're crazy, don't talk to them, I hear they're insane, etc., are phrases that cut like a knife. Stigma surrounding mental health plays a huge role into a person's life that is affected with their respected disabilities. Stigma leads the mentally ill to feel embarrassed, shameful, defective, and broken. We will be reviewing an article from the Article Association of Perceived Stigma and Mood and Anxiety Disorders. Results from the World Mental Health Surveys goes into depth of the impact stigma has on the mentally ill. The authors conducted 17 surveys to investigate the connection between stigma and mental illness. The mentally ill make up 12% of the world's population. The results of the experiments had very shocking results. Moreover, the article displays not only the presence of mental illnesses, but the stigma and embarrassment that comes with them. The method used to gather the information was collected by conducting 17 surveys in 16 different countries. Questionnaires were handed out to the respondents and were asked several questions regarding their views on different disorders, mental illness, stigma, and disabilities. In the survey, gender, age, physical condition, number and type of mental disorders, and education level were all taken into consideration. All of these help the authors to make accurate conclusions about the data collected. The first table showed that people with significant activity limitations perceived stigma was relatively common, about 13.5%. Male gender and lower education levels had a great connection to being the source of perceived stigma. The second table showed that there was not a visible difference between the prevalence of perceived stigma in people with a chronic physical condition, about 15.5%, relative to those without, about 11.8%. The third table showed perceived stigma was much more likely to occur among individuals with mental disorders in comparison to those without mental disorders. The results ended up showing that perceived stigma is common among persons with significant activity limitations. Not only that, those with mental disorders are also likely to experience embarrassment about their health condition and to perceive discrimination based off their health condition. Here at National View on Mental Illness, we have conducted interviews on the topic of perceived stigma and mood and anxiety disorders.
Here I am with Leonor and Gilberto, and I'm going to be asking them questions about today's topic, which is mental illness. As you know, we don't really understand what mental illness comes with because there is a lot of situations, not just the actual illness itself, but it can also come with like anxiety and depression and etc. So the first question that I'm going to ask them is, do you think that a person with mentally ill situation, do you think they're able to live like a normal life, like go to school, like work, have a family?
Yeah, I think it's possible for them to live a normal life because, to be honest, I think every college student has some type of anxiety, right? So like myself, like, you know, I had pretty severe stress and like I was somewhat depressed too. So I mean, there was days where I would go to school, you know, smile at everybody, and then when I would go home I would be sad. So yeah, you can live a normal life, and you can have a normal life. You can still have a relationship, like me and my boyfriend, like he would know too that I would be stressed or had anxiety, and he would try to like help me, you know, kind of forget a little bit of it and kind of like try to live a normal life. So, or try to make me happy. So yeah, I think it's possible for them to live a normal life.
Yeah, I think that too, because like what my sister said, like you can have like a partner help you to, you know, be better mentality and not think not think too much about your depression, anxiety, or nothing like that. So yeah, you can like live a normal life, and
Yeah, or they can go to school, like we said, they
Yeah.
can go to school, they could probably do good. And even though they still have,
They have the
anxiety or depression, or they could probably do bad because of that. So
Yeah.
they could still live a normal life.
Okay, why do you think when it comes to mental illness and stuff, we have a lot of words and saying, okay, there's a lot of discrimination, there's a lot of judgment, and not really understood what it actually is. When it comes to that, people tend to think and diagnose other people by saying, okay, those people are crazy, or they're hallucinating, they don't know what they're doing, I'm in danger, kind of thing. Why do you think people just automatically diagnose them as a crazy person, when in reality it's not really the case? They go through many things, but why do you think they just diagnose them as crazy?
Yeah, I think they, people, I feel like in general, they probably diagnose them as crazy because like they don't have the proper knowledge of, what exactly is mental illness. So I think people just automatically label them as crazy because either they think they're gonna get harmed because of them, and that's why they think they're crazy.
Thank you for tuning in on the National View on Mental Illness. I know that the topics of today were not that easy to think or talk about, but by bringing awareness to them, we can hopefully normalize it, and we will begin to finally have a positive attitude about mental illness. Thank you, and good night.